Let's do this. It's the Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
What's going on? Welcome into the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket. Thank you for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket. If you want to head over there and subscribe, maybe you're watching the show on X, __ Jonathan Smith. You can follow me there and watch the show there. You can also listen on the Indy Sports Ticket app, which you can get wherever you find your apps. And, of course, 1430 a.m. as well if you're driving around the Indianapolis area. So it's a big day today for me. I have my final run before the Indy Mini on Saturday. 2 left, and I never have to run ever again. Going to be great. So that's going on. We're going to talk a lot of Colts today, as we seem to do every day on this show. We'll talk a little bit of NBA lottery as we get you ready for the NBA draft lottery. It's on May 10th. I mean, it's right around the corner. Obviously, it's a huge deal for the Pacers as they, hopefully are able to compete for an NBA title next season. But we're going to start with the Indianapolis Colts. Because right now there is a lot of attention on the new draft picks for the Colts, and rightfully so. They're the shiny new toys. Everyone likes to pay attention to that. But ultimately, I don't think that the Colts season this year is really going to be dictated by the guys taken in the 2026 NFL draft. That is rarely the case. Usually, your season is dictated by who you took 5 years ago or 3 years ago or even last year. And so I want to look at Colts players that we need to see some sort of step forward from. So let's start with Leatu Latu, a guy who everybody is going to have circled, a guy who everyone is going to track his sack counter all year long. Can he get to 10? When was the last time the Colts had a double-digit sack guy? I think it was Samson Ebukam a few years ago. But it feels like it's been forever since the Colts have had a consistently dominant pass rusher. And Leatu Latu was supposed to be the guy. We all remember the image of good old Chris Ballard giggling, saying we got the best pass rusher in the draft and, all that good stuff. So his leap, his improvement is going to be so important. He needs to be a double-digit sack guy. And on Mondays, I need to log on to Twitter or, X or YouTube or TikTok or whatever. And I need to see content creators tweeting out videos titled, Leatu Latu's a problem. Because that's the thing that people really like to say nowadays. He's got the ability. He had 8.5 sacks last year. It's an average number. But again, when you're the first defensive player taken in the draft and your general manager is giggling, saying, oh my gosh, we got the best pass rusher in the draft, like he's a 12-year-old girl at a Justin Bieber concert 10 years ago, average doesn't exactly cut it. He has to get stronger. This is the biggest thing, and I feel like this would be an easy thing to improve upon. Hey, man, how about we just, hit the gym a few extra times maybe? I don't know. Is that too hard? Is that too difficult? So he is at the top of this list in terms of guys who have to improve. I want him to come back looking like Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett's muscles have muscles. I mean, it's pretty insane. And Leatu Latu, that is not the case. He just looks small. He needs to add some mass and put on a little bit more strength if he wants to become the guy that everyone was hoping he would become when the Colts took him with the 15th overall pick 3 drafts ago. When guys improve, you very rarely see a year 6 to year 7 jump. Usually by the end of their 3rd year, you kind of know who the guy is. So this is, I think Leatu Latu's last opportunity to kind of solidify himself as, no. I was the first defensive player taken in that draft for a reason, before everybody just kind of writes him off as, another average pass rusher that Chris Ballard went and got. What did he do? Jalen Tuimoloau is the other guy who I think is going to be at the top of everybody's list. And part of this is because when you look at the Colts defense, the edge room is where everybody thinks that the weakness is. And they're correct whenever they think that. I like the tackles. I like the linebackers. I like the secondary. The question is going to be at edge rusher. Can Leatu Latu and Jalen Tuimoloau and Arden Key consistently create pressure on the quarterback? And the Jalen Tuimoloau stuff is just, it's pitiful. They drafted him last year out of Ohio State in the 2nd round. And I am all for the Colts taking guys from Ohio State, because if you play for Ohio State, it usually means that you're really good at football. And then Jalen Tuimoloau shows up on the Colts last year, logs multiple healthy scratches from the lineup, only appears in 13 games, didn't start any of them, had 17 total tackles in those 13 games, didn't record a sack, only had 6 quarterback hits. It was a bad year from him. So at some point, he's got to figure it out. He needs to go from being a 0 sack guy to a 7 or 8 sack guy. I would be elated if that happened, because everything that we saw from Jalen Tuimoloau last year indicates that he cannot play, that he is not good at football. And you can't, look, it'd be the most Ballard thing ever to waste another pick on another edge rusher. But at some point, like these guys have to pan out. And part of this is on Ballard for taking these guys, but the other part of it is on coaching. You have to develop. Because playing in the NFL and playing college football are 2 completely different things. And so not only does Chris Ballard have to do a better job of drafting guys that are ready to go, but the coaching staff has to do a better job of developing these guys. The best coach on that Colts staff is Tony Sperano Jr. We're going to talk about him a little bit more here in a minute, because he does a great job of developing an offensive lineman. When you look at the Colts offensive line right now, they have a center who was taken in the 4th round. The right guard is an offensive tackle who they converted to guard, who they took in the third round, and then the guy who's going to start at right tackle this year, Jalen Travis, fourth round pick. And then you look at the left side, and it's, first round pick, Quentin Nelson, one of the best offensive guards in football. And then it's third round pick, Bernard Ryman. So much of the offense's success has come because of Tony Sparano Jr.'s ability to develop these mid-round picks. And for some reason, whoever the defensive line coach is for the Colts hasn't been able to do that with all of these guys that should be talented, because a lot of the guys that the Colts have brought in to rush off the edge have been first or second round picks, and none of them have panned out. Anyway, DJ Giddens, that's another guy on this list who has to improve from last year to this year. This is a guy that the Colts drafted in the fourth round out of Kansas State. And to say he was disappointing would be an understatement, especially since during training camp, everyone ranted and raved about him. It's like, oh, DJ Giddens, man. He's not going to start because we got JT, but this guy can play. We really think that he's going to be able to help us. And yeah, he helped in 9 games. He missed half the games. He appeared in 9 of 17 games. When he did play, they only handed him the football 26 times. He had less than 100 rushing yards. In a full football season, he had 96 more rushing yards than you or me. Only averaged 3.5 yards a carry, and he's really important because Jonathan Taylor is going into year. He's going in, and he's 27 years old. This is kind of where running backs start to taper off a little bit. I understand that Jonathan Taylor was really good last year. Okay, but at some point, he's not going to be really good anymore. He's just going to be a guy. And you're going to have to split carries and do those things. And right now, when you look at the Colts roster, they don't have a guy for him to really split carries with. Maybe it's the 7th round pick out of Kentucky this year. I guess that's possible. But I think they would rather it be DJ Giddens, a guy who they took in the 4th round. Maybe they have to bring back Ulysses Bentley the 4th, an undrafted free agent. I mean, they've got to figure that out, because I think another year of handing the football to Jonathan Taylor 500 times, like, yeah, sounds nice, but at some point, those hits pile up and guys get hurt. Jonathan Taylor's been incredibly healthy for a running back throughout his career, but at some point, the hourglass on that runs out, and you've got to rely on other guys. And DJ Giddens is supposed to be that guy, and hopefully he can turn into that. Tyler Warren is on this list as well. I think part of why they were willing to part ways with Michael Pittman Jr. is because they were able to acquire Tyler Warren, 14th overall in the draft last year. I am more intrigued than anything by what he turns into. I mean, look, man, it's Tyler Warren. I don't have to tell you how good that guy is at football. I mean, we knew it watching him play at Penn State when he was really the only viable option for them. He was one of the better receiving tight ends in football last year. So that's just the truth. 76 receptions for over 800 yards, only four touchdowns. That's really kind of where I would like to see him develop. He's freaking huge. 6'6", 256 pounds. I mean, that's just, that's a lot of mass on a really big guy. And so I would like to see him become more of a red zone threat. I thought that a lot of what he did was, kind of over the middle of the field, which is something that you want a tight end to do. You want them to control the middle of the field. He did that. But when you go back and you watch his tape at Penn State, he was excellent making contested catches. It was incredible the number of times you would just see him jump over dudes and just take the football away. And I would like to see a little bit more of that this year. I didn't think that the Colts gave him many opportunities to do that. So hopefully this is a year where it's like, oh, it's, 2nd and goal from the 4-yard line. How about we throw it up to the 6'6", 255-pound dude that we have over here? Oh, and by the way, there's a linebacker guarding him. Even better. Let's go. So I would like to see a little bit more of that. I'd like to see him kind of develop into a little bit more of a red zone threat. And then you have Jalen Travis, who of all the guys on this list, is probably the least popular, probably the guy that's off the radar the most. Braden Smith left in free agency to go play for the Houston Texans. Braden Smith has been the right tackle for the Colts for a long time. 7 years. Excuse me, 8 years. For 8 seasons, he has been the starting right tackle for the Indianapolis Colts. He is now gone. Colts didn't want to pay him. They said, nah, we got big old Jalen Travis, 4th-round pick last year. He is going to be handed the reins at right tackle, where he is going to be in charge of protecting the one and only Daniel Jones off of an Achilles. And last year, if the Colts, pass protection broke down, pre-injuries, Daniel Jones had the ability to get loose and create something. I don't think that's going to be as popular of a thing for him to do this year. So the development of Jalen Travis is going to be so incredibly important. He's got very large shoes to fill, both figuratively and literally, when it comes to Braden Smith when it comes to filling Braden Smith's absence. So this is another opportunity for Tony Sperano Jr. to flex his muscles as a talent developer, because that is exactly what he's done during his time as the Colts offensive line coach. Again, Tanner Bortolini was a 4th-round pick. Matt Gonsalves, starting right guard, was a 3rd-round pick who was originally drafted to play tackle, but they converted him to guard. Jalen Travis, 4th-round pick, is going to start at right tackle. Bernard Ryman, starting left tackle, drafted in the 3rd round. That is a very hard thing to do, and you don't have that many mid-round hits on offensive linemen without having one of the best offensive line coaches in the NFL. So hopefully we can continue to see him develop talent, because that is the name of the game in the NFL. It's not just about drafting the right guys. You have to develop them as well. And Tony Sperano has done an excellent job of that. Hopefully we saw him do it again with Jalen Travis. Again, big show today. A lot of Colts stuff. 317-228-1430. That is the phone number if you want to call in. That is the text line as well. You can text that number if you want to be part of the show. You can ask Colts questions, Pacer questions. If you have restaurant recommendations, I'm always down for those. So 317-228-1430. That is the number. So the Colts don't have a ton of depth whenever you look at their depth chart. And because of that, their day 3 picks are going to be extremely important this year, because that's usually what day 3 picks are. But there are 3 guys in particular who I think we could see play for the Colts relatively early. I'm going to tell you who those guys are and what you need to know about them coming up here in about 3 minutes. Life can feel overwhelming sometimes, and all your body needs is a quiet moment in a cozy, calming place. Salty Woods in Greenwood offers salt therapy, also known as halo therapy, a natural drug-free wellness practice that mimics the microclimate of salt caves. And we've got a special deal for you only while they last, starting tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Go to indiesportsticket.com and click on the Sweet Deals tab to get 2 seats in the Salt Room for half off. That's a $70 value, yours for just $35.
may, one day, be a must-listen for sports enthusiasts.
Yeah, and monkeys might fly out of my butt.
Uh-oh. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Yeah. Welcome back to the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket. Thank you for tuning in. No matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, X, or the Indy Sports Ticket app, it is greatly appreciated no matter how you're tuning in. Chris, tell them what you just told me.
Just scrolling X. According to Shane Tuttle, NCAA, the breaking news, Ohio State has announced the Horseshoe will transition to red scarlet-colored turf ahead of the 2026 football season. They will become the fourth FBS program to feature a non-green football field. What do you think about that?
You got duped, man. I looked him up. He said, read his bio. Everything I do is satire.
Well, see, I'm easily fooled, and all I saw was like a red field. That would be pretty cool, though. What do you think?
I don't know, man. For Boise State, it works. There is a team in college football that has a red field. Do you know who it is?
I do not.
It is East Washington State.
Okay, well, that's probably why I don't know.
Yeah, most people don't know.
You said Boise State have like what, a blue field or something like that?
Yeah, their field's blue. I don't even like theirs. I think it looks dumb. But then again, I think a lot of stuff like that looks dumb. So yeah. I'm not.
All right. Well, sorry for the fake news.
That's okay.
It just caught my eye.
It's all right.
Continue.
It seeps in every now and then. It happens. All right. So the Colts, big draft last week. It happened a week ago. The first round of the draft was a week ago, which is kind of nuts. So day 3 players usually they're things that people don't really tend to care about. And then all of a sudden you see them on the field in week 4 and you're like, I don't know who that is. So I'm going to try to keep that from happening to you this year. So there are 3 day 3 Colts draftees that I think are going to have a decent chance to see the field early in the season. I'm sure we'll see some of these guys on special teams or due to injury. But these are 3 guys who I think could play significant roles for the Indianapolis Colts, not only on special teams, but also at the positions that they were drafted at. So the first guy might be my favorite. 4th round pick, Bryce Butcher. I'm hoping that's how you say it.
Maybe it's Boucher. Yeah, Bobby Boucher.
Hey, man. Bobby Boucher, he can rush the quarterback now. So here are some of the comments from the Colts meetings during the draft process about Bryce Butcher.
Anticipation and awareness, I think, are some of his greatest traits. Good in the run game, good in fits. I think in coverage, I think you really like some of that stuff. I really like him.
You like the way he's wired. You walk away from baseball and play football. There's a lot to like with the guy.
There's a lot to like with the guy. They like the way he covers. They like that he walked away from baseball to play football, which I think is an underrated thing. I like his football makeup. I like that he wants to play football. I think that's a good sign. As dumb as that sounds, there are so many guys in the league, football, basketball, baseball, whatever. They're just out there because they're good at it, not necessarily because they enjoy it. Bryce Butcher's a guy who enjoys football, and I think that's an important thing. And this guy isn't just a football player. It's not like he walked away from baseball because he was bad at baseball. He was a 13th round pick by the Houston Astros last year. Turned him down to go back to Oregon and play football, which was good for him. He ended up winning the Burlsworth Award, which goes to the nation's best former walk-on, and he led the Big Ten in tackles with 132. He is the definition of football character. This dude loves football, seems like a good dude. He was a green dot guy for Dan Lanning, meaning he was in charge, and this matters to me. Like, if I was a GM and I was evaluating linebackers, I think I would only want green dot guys because those are the guys who were calling plays. Why is that important? Because that means that you know everyone's assignment. Why does that matter? Because that points to your football intelligence. And I want linebackers who are smart, who can sit back, look at the offense, know what's coming, and then communicate to everybody around them, hey, they're running the football right or whatever it is, or left, or hey, they're going to throw that quick slant here, and then they jump it and they pick it off, and it's a huge game-changing play. I want smart football players playing for the Colts, and you have to be a smart, intelligent football player if you're playing, if you're the green dot for Dan Lanning and his defense. Okay, when he plays, though, you can see the walk-on in his game. Plays with a lot of effort. Does a good job pursuing the football. He's a little over-aggressive. That's okay. You can also see the walk-on in his size. He's a little small, 6'1", 233 pounds. That being said, still a good tackler. Saw that at Oregon again. He led the Big Ten in tackles last year. And even though he is a little undersized, very quick, has good speed. That's why he's good in coverage. With that being said, because of his lack of size, offensive linemen can swallow him up a little bit, which is problematic. So when the Colts play with three linebackers, I do think that there's a chance that he'll be the third guy. We'll have to wait and see how those position battles kind of end up going. But ultimately, I think we're mainly going to see him on special teams. He covered punts and kicks his entire time at Oregon, so I think he'll slide in there well to start his career. But I do think this is going to be a guy that we see take some reps throughout the year as part of the defense. And when I think about Bryce Butcher's game, I want you to think of him as a human pinball. Not really the biggest object on the table, but he is high velocity, and he is constantly bouncing around from sideline to sideline. He hits everything, and even when he gets knocked off course, he's finding a way to battle back into it because of the relentless efforts that he plays with. He is that annoying, high-energy player that you draft and pick up basketball simply because you don't want to play against him. That's who Bryce Butcher is. So very excited to kind of see what he ends up turning into for the Indianapolis Colts. Jalen Farmer, fourth-round pick. He's an offensive guard. Colts fans already don't like him because the Colts took him over Elijah Surratt. I'm glad they did. I'm not convinced that Elijah Surratt's going to be very good, but hey, I've been wrong before. Maybe I'll be wrong again. Offensive linemen always get hurt throughout the course of the year. It's just something that is going to happen. Jalen Farmer is likely going to be a depth piece, but we're going to see him at some point this year because some offensive lineman for the Colts is going to get rolled up on, and he's going to have to go out there for 10 to 15 snaps until that other offensive lineman feels good again. And here is the Colts staff's thoughts on Jalen Farmer throughout the pre-draft process.
This dude's the most powerful guy in the draft. You can watch this guy take SEC defensive tackles off the ball 4 or 5 yards by himself, which is really unique.
Takes pretty damn good. I think he'd be a starting guard in this league.
His ability to anchor, he's got quickness to mirror, the power he has in the run game. I think this is a unique dude. He's got a lot of juice to his personality. He's smart.
Got a lot of juice to his personality. They think he's a starting guard in the league. He's got a lot of juice. I like hearing that about my offensive lineman. Now, Colts fans, we know that Chris Ballard has a type when it comes to offensive linemen. Really, the guys he drafts in general. He likes them big and he likes them fast. And he likes them from the SEC now, apparently. Enter Jalen Farmer from Kentucky. This kid is 6'5", 312 pounds. He logged the fourth fastest 40-yard dash for a guard at a 4.93 since the turn of the century. We aren't talking about just like a hog in the trenches, right? Like that's what they like to call the offensive lineman. The big hog mollies up front. No. This dude's a thoroughbred. This guy was created to play offensive guard in the NFL. He is a big athlete. He can move. He's got really long arms. Like his arm length is comparable to that of an offensive tackle. Arm length matters. It allows you to get your hands on guys before they can get their hands on you. This guy is a physical freak who needs some fine-tuning. He was a fourth-round pick because his technique wasn't very good. And I've talked about this guy a lot during the show. But that's where Tony Sperano Jr. comes into play. one of the best offensive line coaches in the NFL. Let's run down the line again. 3rd-round pick at left tackle. 1st-round pick at left guard. 4th-round pick at center. 3rd-round pick at right guard. 4th-round pick at right tackle. Tony Sprono Jr. just seems to find a way to make everybody that comes into contact with him better at football. And he's one of the best offensive line coaches in the NFL. If he can coach him up, then the Colts might have found another monster on their hands. He is a sledgehammer on wheels, and he is going to crush people if he can master the tech needed at the NFL level. Also, my apologies earlier. Bryce's last name is not Butcher, it's Betcher. So my apologies there. Messed up on that. Shout out to producer Chris for correcting me on that. The final guy that I do think that we have a decent chance of seeing this year for the Colts is Deion Burks. Okay, I have talked about Deion Burks a decent amount already. He is a freak athlete. He's got 4.3 speed. He's insanely strong. 26 reps on the bench press at the combine. And he's incredibly quick. He is so athletic that I would be very surprised if he didn't have a chance to succeed in the NFL. I'm honestly surprised that the Colts got him so late in the draft. I understand that he's short. I understand that he has short arms. You know who else is short with short arms? Tyreek Hill. Not comparing Deion Burks to Tyreek Hill. It's just an observation. Think of Deion Burks as a high-performance bottle rocket. Small, lightweight, might look unassuming sitting over on the sideline. But once you light the fuse, there is no gradual acceleration. It is instant. It's a violent launch. And because of that, he creates so much space whenever he's running routes. Doesn't matter if a corner's covering him, a linebacker, a safety. He is too fast and too quick to be contained. Okay, like this is the kind of guy who can explode over the top for a 60-yard touchdown. He's a potential one-play game changer for the Indianapolis Colts. Obviously, the concern with him, it is the size, right? He's 5'9", 180 pounds, small dude. But I don't really care because he's so good at everything else. He is so quick and he is so fast. Really good player, and I hope that we get to see him on the field a little bit. Even if they just put him back there with Anthony Gould and have them both return kicks. When you have a guy who is this quick and this fast, you have to just figure out a way to put the ball in his hands and see if he can do something special for you. Let's go to the text line real quick. We got a text saying, Dan Dockich, any good Bob Knight stories? No, I don't have any good Coach Knight stories.
Wow,
I'm sorry.
Dan, you lost a lot of age there. You're a lot younger than you were
a
couple days ago.
I don't know. I don't know what happened, but it's like, are you even listening? Do I sound like Dan? Is that the problem here? I don't know. He's gonna turn his radio on thinking that it's Dan, and he's gonna hear this 26-year-old. She'd be like, am I on the right station? Who is that? Yeah, I don't know. But all right. We're just having fun, So speaking of fun, last year there were many accusations thrown around about the NBA draft being rigged. So it wasn't rigged. I stand very firmly on that take. But let's take a moment here. And let's say that the NBA draft lottery is rigged. How would the NBA rig it this year? Would that benefit the Pacers? Would it not? Would it be a detriment to the Pacers? So I want to look into that. I'm going to tell you, if the NBA draft lottery is in fact rigged, these are going to be the 4 teams with the top 4 picks. We'll get into that in 4 minutes.
The best takes? Maybe. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back to the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket. Thank you for tuning in. No matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket, if you want to head over there and subscribe. Maybe you're watching the show on X__ Jonathan Smith to follow me there and watch the show there. You can also listen on that Indy Sports Ticket app or 1430 a.m. if you're driving around the Indianapolis area. You can call in at 317-228-1430. You can text that number as well if you have thoughts on the show. So last year, the Dallas Mavericks won the NBA draft lottery despite having a 1.8% chance to win it. It happened. Everyone went crazy. Conspiracies were flying all over the place. Oh, the NBA manufactured the Luka to LA trade. And so this was their reward. Hey, if you trade Luka, then we'll give you the number 1 overall pick. All of that nonsense, right? That's how it started. And people have just kind of ran with it. And now I think that there's this insane idea that the NBA draft lottery is rigged. And so let's put it to the test here. All right, if you want to hit the conspiracy sounder. I think this would classify, right? If the NBA draft lottery is rigged, here is how I believe the NBA would rig the top 4 picks. Because they can't rig all the picks. If you rig all the picks, then it becomes obvious that it's rigged. So, again, the number's 317-228-1430. Listen to my list and how I'd order it. Would love to listen to any rebuttals to this idea. So, I think they would give the 4th pick to the Dallas Mavericks because they still feel bad about the Luka trade. That market in Dallas still hates the NBA for the fact that Luka's not there anymore. It's like, we got Cooper Flag. That's great, but we would rather have our guy, So the NBA still feels bad about the Luka trade. They want one of the largest markets in the NBA to love and appreciate their local team. So they give the Mavericks a slight boost so they can land another stud to play alongside Cooper Flag, like a Keaton Wagler, a Caleb Wilson, or a Darius Acuff. Maybe Cam Boozer if he falls, because I'm convinced that some of these NBA GMs are going to see the Caleb Wilson tape and be like, you know what? I'll take that big, scary athlete over there, and we'll worry about the rest later. So if the NBA draft lottery is rigged, on May 10th, you will see the Mavericks win the 4th overall pick. If the NBA draft lottery is rigged, you will see the Charlotte Hornets win the 3rd overall pick. You're probably like, Jonathan, the Charlotte Hornets? Why would the NBA rig the lottery for the Hornets? Because the Hornets are good for the league. They play a fun, entertaining style of basketball. Everyone likes the Hornets. Their jerseys are cool. Their court's cool. LaMelo Ball is one of the most polarizing players in the league. They want more of an excuse to put that guy on TV. They want that guy to play in playoff games because LaMelo Ball riles up the younger generation because he's cool, and he riles up the older generation because he's lame to them, which I think is really funny. So they want more LaMelo Ball on TV. They want more Con Knipple on TV as well, former 4th overall pick. Nips needs more minutes on TV, right? So the Hornets, they rig it for them to land the 3rd pick. They rig it for the Hawks to land the 2nd pick because the Hawks are another good rising team in a big market. Atlanta likes their basketball. Georgia, underrated basketball state. So putting Jalen Johnson with Darren Peterson or Cam Boozer or AJ DeBonsa, depending on who goes number 1, would instantly set them up to be one of the better teams for years to come. And one of my biggest arguments against the idea that these things are rigged is that they would just rig it for the large markets, because that's ultimately what leagues care about. Like if the Knicks and the Lakers played in the NBA Finals, they would pull an incredible number. in terms of people that tuned in to watch. So they rig it for these bigger markets. So they would give the Hawks the number 2 overall pick. I'll be honest, you can persuade me away from picks 2, 3, and 4 on how they would rig it. 317-228-1430 if you'd like to try to do that. But I'm not coming off this spot. If the NBA draft lottery is rigged, the Golden State Warriors will absolutely win the number 1 overall pick. Who is the most popular player in the NBA? Chris, who do you think it is?
Probably LeBron.
No, it's Steph Curry. Everybody loves Steph Curry. There's not a person on the planet that watches Steph Curry and hates him. There are many people who, for some reason or another, do not like LeBron James. Steph Curry, despite playing in Golden State for the last 17 years, is consistently in the top 10 in terms of jersey sales. Everybody likes that guy. It's incredible. And the NBA wants to extend Steph Curry's championship window. What better way to do that than to put AJ DeBonsa or Cam Boozer or Darren Peterson or whoever the Warriors like with the number 1 overall pick? They want to keep Steph Curry relevant for as long as possible. And being the 10 seed, playing in the play-in game, I don't think is exactly what they have in mind. Okay, that is undoubtedly who I think they would put first if the NBA draft lottery is indeed rigged. I know we had a couple comments on YouTube. Ross thinks that they would give Chicago, Brooklyn, and OKC the top 3 picks. They wouldn't give it to OKC. Everybody hates them. Absolutely no way. Yeah, I'm open to other orders as well. Teams like the Jazz, Kings, Nets, Wizards, and Pacers, they're all viewed as tanking teams, whether that's true or not. Like the Kings didn't tank, they just sucked. The Pacers didn't tank, they just sustained a lot of injuries throughout the season. The Nets and the Wizards absolutely tanked. The Jazz absolutely tanked. The NBA doesn't want to reward tanking. They want to punish it. So they're not going to rig it for any of those teams. So there's my take on what the NBA draft lottery would be if it was in fact rigged. Chris, what do you think of that order?
I think it's not far off, and it all makes sense the way you explain it. But do you still feel the same about Golden State being number 1 after Steve Kerr is out?
Yeah, I think, honestly, I think people will like the Warriors more now that Steve Kerr's out.
Really?
Oh yeah, he was a he didn't do what we do on this show, where whenever a political topic comes up for us, like the idea of Megan Rapinoe, right?
Yeah.
Like the idea of her, grooming people, we're just like, you know what? No, we're not going to talk about that. Steve Kerr's like, I will absolutely talk about that. And then he makes a lot of people mad. So
fair enough. I would view that's pretty accurate. I like your explanation there and everything. Would you compare Seth Curry to this generation's Reggie Miller?
Seth? You mean Steph?
Yeah, this one.
Yeah, okay. I was like, Seth? I don't know about that.
Yeah, sorry.
I think
they're pretty accurate generational wise. It's kind of like the conversation with LeBron and Jordan.
I think he's this is going to sound mean. I don't want to be mean. That's okay. Reggie is a much bigger deal in Indiana than he is across the country. Which, like, I wasn't alive in the 90s for when he played. So maybe this was different at the time. But, like, I think that the difference in the love for Steph Curry in San Francisco compared to the love for Steph Curry in, like, Florida, I don't, like, obviously there's more love for him in San Francisco because that's where he plays. But I don't think that the gap is as big when you compare Reggie to Indiana love versus everywhere else. And part of that is because Indiana is just such a basketball crazy place. But he feels like he's a bigger deal here than he is anywhere else. He was just more local.
That's fair.
Than Steph. So, which then again, maybe if Reggie Miller wins 4 titles, we don't feel that way. But sorry, probably shouldn't have brought that up. That's all right. Yeah, I think Steph's just at another level of influence and those things. But
fair enough.
But it's really interesting. I do think that they're both similar in terms of the ways that they have changed basketball. Like Reggie Miller was the first guy who actively hunted 3-point shots. He was the first guy where teams would run their offense through him in order to generate more threes. Steph Curry just kind of took that and went nuclear with it, completely changed the way that teams play basketball. I mean, it's really interesting. Like, when you watch the NFL, they want certain players to do certain things. Like, if you draft, okay, so they're not going to take Fernando Mendoza and say, hey, Fernando, we want you to play like Lamar Jackson. Because when you look at Fernando Mendoza's skill set, there's just no way that he can play like Lamar Jackson. Whereas in the NBA, the Spurs took Wemby and were like, hey, Wemby, we know that you're 7'5" and can dunk the basketball without even jumping. Forget that. We want you to take more threes. That is, I think that impact started with Reggie, and then Steph just took it and built off of it. So I think that they're similar in that way. But yeah, it's crazy things. Speaking of the Spurs, have you watched them at all? They're insane. Also, I saw someone in the YouTube chat. I got to go back and find it. Talking about how the NBA playoffs are not exciting. Joe to the C. We are going to have 4 first-round series go to 6 games or more. That is the most first-round series we've had go to 6 games since 2014. It's been 12 years since we've had first-round series this competitive. And I think that part of why it feels that way, perfect segue here, part of why it feels that way is because the Pacers aren't in it, and the Pacers had such a crazy run last year that everything this year just kind of feels boring. I want to get into a new segment, Throwback Thursday, because something happened 366 days ago that I don't think any of us will ever forget. Do you have the audio?
Throwback Thursday! Throwback Thursday! Throwback Thursday!
So groovy.
Solid. I
So
like it.
groovy. Thank you. So 366 days ago, the Indiana Pacers were up 3-1 against the Milwaukee Bucks. And one of the most unique things that has happened in Gainbridge Fieldhouse took place. It was the beginning of the Pacers' incredible run. They erased a 20-point second quarter deficit to force overtime. Then with 40 seconds left to go in overtime, I was in the building. People rose to their feet and walked out. They're like, Pacers are down 7. This game's over. But the Pacers go on an 8-0 run, and Tyrese Halliburton hits a game-winning layup after beating Giannis off the bounce.
Here we go. Halliburton. 5 seconds. 4 seconds. Halliburton for the lead. 1.3 to go. Pacers by 1. Porter to inbound it. No. Giannis is going to take it now. Here's Gary Trent Jr. Lets it fly. And the Pacers are moving on.
I was at that game. It was amazing. Probably the best sporting event I've been to in person. People left the building early. I'm so glad I stayed. My wife wanted us to leave early, and I was like, no. We're staying right here. Not only because the Pacers won and sent the Bucks home. That was obviously memorable. The 8-0 run was memorable. But the most memorable part of that night was Tyrese Halliburton's father running out on the court, yelling at Giannis, "This is what the F we do." And you have this iconic photo of Giannis and Tyrese's dad being forehead to forehead. That was potentially the craziest moment in the NBA season last year. This year, it's Chauncey Billups getting arrested for rigging poker games. I mean, nothing's really going to come close to that. The regular season was crazy, but the playoffs haven't been. Like, even though the series have been close, like, there haven't been very many, like, down to the wire finishes. It's a lot of this team wins by 8, that kind of stuff. I mean, outside of LeBron in Houston game 3 where the Lakers are down by 6 with like 30 seconds left and they hit a 3, and then LeBron gets a steal and then hits a 3 to send it to overtime, and then the Lakers win in overtime. Outside of that game, everything else has been, in comparison to last year, pretty boring. And I want the excitement back. It's part of why we need the Pacers back in the playoffs this next year. But as I've watched the playoffs, I've just become more and more disappointed that the Pacers aren't in it. And I'll tell you why in 4.5 minutes.
do this. It's the real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of the real Jonathan Smith Show getting underway. Thank you for tuning in. No matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket, if you want to head over there and subscribe. Maybe you're watching the show on X__Jonathan Smith. Follow me there and watch the show there. You can also listen on that Indy Sports Ticket app or 1430 AM. We were in the middle of Throwback Thursday before we went to break. And I'm going to ask Chris to play the sounder again just because I like it. And it's my show.
Throwback Thursday. Throwback Thursday. Throwback Thursday.
So good. I probably like it a little bit too much, but that's okay. So before we went to break, we were talking about how the NBA playoffs this year just don't feel quite as exciting, especially compared to last year. And it's not really fair to compare because you had the Pacers in the playoffs last year. And Tyrese Halliburton and that group were just doing incredible things night in and night out, whether it's Aaron Nesmith getting hot and hitting 8 threes. I can't remember if it was in a half or in a quarter. The Tyrese Halliburton game-tying shot against the Knicks where it hits the heel of the rim and it bounces up and it drops through. Going back 366 days ago, you had the incredible 8-0 run in the final 40 seconds of Game 5 against the Bucks to advance to the second round of the playoffs. And there was just so many of these crazy moments that we just haven't had in these playoffs so far. And so that's part of why I think the playoffs have felt a little disappointing this year. But I'm looking at the Eastern Conference right now. And it's just hard to not relive. But it's hard not to think even more about that Halliburton injury in Game 7 of the NBA Finals. A game that it looked like the Pacers were going to win because Halliburton was playing so well. But also, when you look at the Eastern Conference right now, I mean, the Pacers would have had another incredible opportunity to make a run to the Eastern Conference Finals. The Cavaliers look terrible right now against a Toronto team that's not very good. The Pistons are on the verge of being eliminated. It almost happened last night. Paolo Banchero, 45 points. Incredible stuff from him last night. Cade Cunningham as well. But it looks like the 1 seed is going to lose to the 8 seed in the first round. The Celtics aren't living up to expectations. They are so much better than Philly, and they keep settling for these bad shots. This system that they run that is all about creating open threes isn't really creating open threes. And then you look out west, and you have the Spurs, who I understand beat the Portland Trail Blazers in 5 games. But I'm telling you, the Spurs are going to lose at some point due to their lack of maturity, just due to the amount of youth that they have on their team. The Thunder are currently playing without Jalen Williams, who was a bit of a problem for the Indiana Pacers last year because he has a grade 1 hamstring strain. So he's going to be out for at least a few weeks. The Denver Nuggets, their most important player, Aaron Gordon, has a calf strain. Who knows when he's going to be cleared to play again. Anthony Edwards is out for at least 2 weeks with a hurt knee. Dante DiVincenzo tore his Achilles. Everybody is just falling apart at the seams in the playoffs. And with the way that the Pacers play, I don't think that necessarily happens to them just because of how reliant they are on everybody. And so that they would have had a great chance to hoist the Larry O'Brien trophy. But sadly, we're going to have to wait one more year for that. And the NBA draft lottery is right around the corner. It is 11 days away, which is kind of nuts. I used to think it was 12, but I don't know about you, Chris. I'm terrible at remembering which months have 31 days and which ones have 30. April 31st rolls off the tongue really well. But there is no April 31st.
I can see that. I can't remember what I did yesterday, let alone think of how many days are in a month.
Every time I get it confused, my wife sings the song, You know what I'm talking about?
I didn't know there was a song
Yeah.
associated with this.
There's a song. I'm such a good husband that I don't remember the song, even though I've heard her sing it several times.
Best husband ever.
Yeah. And so it's right around the corner, including today. We've got 7 shows until the NBA draft lottery. And so in honor of the NBA draft lottery, Chris and I have decided to put together this segment idea. So whenever you look at the Indiana Pacers and their lottery odds, they are going to land a top 7 pick. Obviously, if it's pick 5, 6, or 7, it's going to go to the Los Angeles Clippers. If it's pick 1, 2, 3, or 4, then it is going to go to the Pacers. So Chris is going to do like a random number generator thing, 1 through 7. It'll pull a number, and then I have a take corresponding with every single number. Do you have the number generator up by chance? I threw all this together last minute, so if you're not prepared, it is entirely my fault.
Are you talking about this sounder thing?
Not the sounder.
Okay.
Go to here. I can do it, I think.
You pull the number.
Yeah, because I'm just an honest guy. I think everyone trusts me to not rig it. So 1 through 7.
What's that say about me?
I mean, I'm not saying that you wouldn't,
I'm just kidding.
I mean, you're the conspiracy theory guy. I feel like
This is true.
So I'm going to pull a number 1 through 7. I have a take corresponding to that. So I don't really have a title for the segment. Let's just call it 1 through 7 lottery takes. So let's get into our 1 through 7 lottery takes. Turn it down a little. I can talk over it. So the number that we pulled for today, we pulled the number 7. So essentially the idea here is I have 7 different takes, all corresponding with the number. So, and it's like on a scale of 1 to 7, how much do you like this thing? How much is this thing liked in sports? So when we pull the number 1, it's going to be something that everybody hates. When we pull the number 7, like we did today, it's going to be something that I think everybody loves. And I think everybody loves a scrappy point guard. There's nothing like an undersized point guard that gets on the floor due to their effort, picks up full court, grabs offensive rebounds that they have no business grabbing. Every Pacer fan loves TJ McConnell, and it's not a coincidence. He is the definition of a scrappy point guard. So my older brother Caleb, he's not really a basketball guy, more of a football and baseball guy. But last year he came up here for Game 3 of the Pacers and Cavaliers series. It's like the one game where the Pacers laid an egg. They lost by 20. But in that game, there's like a 3-minute stretch in the second quarter where TJ McConnell does TJ McConnell things. He rips off like 12 points in like a 2-minute stretch. And the crowd's going crazy. He's trying to just will the Pacers back into the game. And we leave, and my brother Caleb looks at me and he goes, I don't know what that white guy's name is, but that's my favorite player now. I was like, yeah, I know it is, because everybody likes a scrappy point guard. Okay, every Raptor fan loves Jamal Shed. Every Pacer fan loves TJ McConnell. Everyone in the 90s loved John Stockton, right? He's probably the best of all the scrappy point guards. But you need guys like that who set a competitive tone. Like when I look at, the playoffs this year, and when you look at TJ McConnell last year, obviously like his scoring off the bench was important. His playmaking off the bench was really important. But he also set a tone every time he came out onto the floor. And you have to have that. Like when I watch the Cleveland Cavaliers and I watch how lethargic they look this year compared to last year, there's reasons for that. One, they have James Harden on their team. That guy is the definition of lethargic when it comes to the playoffs. That's why he crumbles time and time again. But they also don't have a guy like Dennis. Actually, no, they have Dennis Schroeder this year. They don't have Ty Jerome. Ty Jerome was their scrappy off-the-bench point guard last year who would come into the game and set an entirely new tone for them when it came to competitiveness and those kinds of things. You have to have that on your team somewhere because as much as I love the NBA, I'll be really honest about it. A lot of those NBA guys are way too cool to be competitive. And you have to have a couple of guys on your roster and on your team who just aren't too cool, who are going to show up in sweatpants and a t-shirt instead of in some like loud flamboyant outfit, like they're really there to just walk the runway instead of play basketball. You have to have a couple of guys who are just like, you know what? I think I'm feeling khakis and a polo tonight. And that is TJ McConnell. That is the scrappy point guard. So I will always take an important scrappy point guard on my team. 317-228-1430. That is the number if you want to call in. We can talk Pacers, lottery, NBA draft, NFL draft, really whatever you want to discuss. Chris, on a scale of 1 to 7, how much do you love scrappy point guards?
7 is good, right?
Yeah.
7.
Yeah. 7?
Absolutely 7, no question.
Okay. Do you have a favorite scrappy point guard? You can just say McConnell. That's fine.
Although he's good, he's not my favorite. I'd probably say my favorite would be Allen Iverson.
Was he scrappy though?
He was quick.
Undersized.
Yeah.
Really quick.
He didn't back down from anybody.
That's true. Yeah, you're right. So I guess Allen Iverson then is the best scrappy point guard ever. It's probably not Stockton, even though I love Stockton.
Stockton was good with his hands, so.
Bell.
Sure.
Bell.
You know what I was saying. Get out of there.
So I think, speaking of John Stockton, we're going to go off the rails here a little bit. He has one of the best autobiographies I've ever read. It's called Assisted. And I know that we obviously have Indiana fans who listen to the show. John Stockton was invited to the 1984 Olympic tryouts. He made it down to the final cuts. He was on the plane ride home with Charles Barkley, with the guys who didn't quite make it. And he has got a couple of really good Coach Knight stories in that book that are just awesome. I won't spoil it. Go buy it. The book came out a long time ago. You can probably find it for cheap somewhere. But it's so funny when you read about the interactions between Charles Barkley and Coach Knight, because Charles Barkley would go up in their scrimmages and he would grab a rebound and Coach Knight would say, give it to the point guard. And then Charles Barkley would not give it to the point guard. He would just go dunk it. And so all of the NBA scouts there are like in awe of Charles Barkley. It actually played a role in his draft stock going up. But Coach Knight hated him because he wouldn't give the ball to the point guard, so he cut him. Which I think is hilarious. Someone on the text line chiming in saying, showing your age, John Stockton was hated because of the way he set screens. Stockton was a dirty player. Well, to be fair, when you look at the screens that John Stockton would set, I know I'm young, but I love John Stockton. When you look at the screens that he would set them on the baseline for Karl Malone. It's not like he's screening other 6'1" skinny guys. He's screening Hakeem Olajuwon, for crying out loud. Like, of course he was setting dirty screens. Come on now. That's just that's the nature of it.
That's fair. I don't specifically see John Stockton whenever I hear the word scrappy, but it doesn't mean that he's not.
Yeah, that's fair.
Me and Jack were over here looking up other scrappy point guards of all time. Forgot about, Gary Payton.
Yep. That's
Isaiah Thomas.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But more current, I would agree with Marcus Smart. Dude is
Marcus
scrappy.
Smart. Marcus Smart is scrappy. Who else? I'm trying to think.
Rajon Rondo too.
Yeah. You could probably put Rondo there. I mean, Isaiah Thomas was regarded as dirty as well. Maybe that's just part of being a scrappy player. People just think that you're dirty. Lou Dort's not dirty. He's just scrappy, But, yeah, there you go. So there's lottery takes. We'll do another one tomorrow, and then we'll do them all week next week. The lottery's really not that far away. And I was thinking about this, and this is a bad thought. This is dumb. This isn't true. But like if I was Kevin Pritchard, like the Pacers obviously want the number one overall pick, but there'd be some part of me. It's like, you know what? Like, can I get pick number 4? That way, I don't really have to like make a decision. You know, because at that point, you're just taking whichever of the big 4, whether it's Cam Boozer, Darren Peterson, AJ DeBonsa, or Caleb Wilson. You're just taking whoever's at 4 at that point. Whereas if you have the number one overall pick, you have to deal with the worry of what if I took the wrong guy? What if I took, AJ DeBonsa number 1 and Darren Peterson goes number 2 and Darren Peterson goes on to be just this incredible stud, right? Like there's a part of me that wouldn't want the number 1 overall pick because of that. You know what I mean?
I have a dumb question. Can you
That's fine.
trade a lottery pick? Like if let's say the Jazz get the first pick and they don't want the first pick, they'd rather have 3. Can they trade?
Yes. This happened a few years ago. Boston Celtics win the lottery. They have the number 1 overall pick. This is the Markelle Fultz, Lonzo Ball, Jason Tatum draft. And the Sixers had the 3rd pick. The Lakers had the 2nd pick. The Celtics wanted to take Jason Tatum, but they knew that he wasn't going to go number 1. So they traded down. They had the 3rd pick, and they ended up getting the best player in that class. So
does that defeat the purpose of the lottery, though? Or is it just kind of like
the
whatever?
purpose of the lottery is to keep teams from tanking? That is the purpose of the lottery. So the purpose of the lottery isn't carried out because a lot of teams tank. And this 3-2-1 idea is just stupid. I hate it so much. Like the idea of if you have a bottom 3 record in the league, you're going to have less odds than teams like 4 through 8 or whatever it is. Then it's like, okay, fine. You're just going to have teams battling to have the 4th worst record then. Like it doesn't, as long as you reward losing, the idea of changing the odds, like no matter how much you do that, it's not really going to work. It's like if they really want to fix the lottery, they should just have flat odds across the board. It's like got teams 1 through 14 all have a 10% chance, or I guess it can't be 10%. It had to be like 8% or whatever. Then that's probably what they should do, because at that point there is no advantage to having the worst record in the league. But then at that point you would have teams trying to lose playing games, which I think would actually be kind of funny. I don't know. There's no good answer. That's the problem with this.
So much technical stuff to go along with it.
That's the other thing. I have two more requests as the NBA tries to fix tanking, or really one. If I get in an elevator and someone looks at me and says, "Hey, aren't you that radio guy?" and I say yes, and they say, "Can you explain the new the new lottery rules to me in the NBA?" I should be able to explain it to them in one sentence. I should be able to call my dad and explain it in like less than 10 words. They flattened the odds. 4 words. That's more than enough. That's really it. And the other thing, I have another idea on this, and I don't even think that it's just an NBA thing in general. I think this is just a life thing on why no one likes any of the ideas that the NBA is putting out to fix tanking. I'll tell you what that idea is in 3 minutes.
If it's in today's sports world, it's here. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back to the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket. Thank you for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket. If you want to head over there and subscribe, maybe you're watching the show on X, _ Jonathan Smith, to follow me there and watch the show there. You can also listen on that Indy Sports Ticket app or 1430 AM. Oh, man. So I think that idea fatigue is a real thing, where sometimes you hear a good idea on something, but you're just tired of hearing ideas about it, so you don't like it. And I think that that is where tanking is at, and the lottery and all those things in the NBA. We have talked about fixing tanking and changing the lottery the entire NBA season. They flattened the odds not even 5 years ago. This is just a recurring theme that we talk about year in and year out. And I think that we've just reached a point where it's like, you know what I don't want to talk about anymore? Tanking or the lottery or anything like that. And so whenever someone brings it up and they bring up a solution for it, it's like, hey, I don't care, man. I don't want to talk about this anymore. Right. And so I don't know. I think that happens to people all the time. Like your friend or something is talking about, oh, I have a story for this. I was at a wedding, and one of my wife's friends that I had never met came over, and she and her husband had just bought a house, and it was the only thing she talked about. And we had to sit with her for like 30 minutes before the wedding started. And it was 30 minutes of this girl talking about how she had just bought a house. And I was like, and when we got done, I was like, you know what I never want to talk about ever again? Buying a house. Because I just heard so much about it. And I think that tanking and the lottery and those things in the NBA have kind of reached a very similar point where it's like, you know what, I don't want to talk about this anymore. So whenever anyone has an idea to try and fix it, people just are very quick to dismiss it. I also think that the other thing, like there is no perfect solution for tanking. We see it in the NFL. We see it in the NBA. It's not really a thing in baseball because of how their draft stuff kind of works. So it's not really an issue there. But any season where, any league where losing directly impacts where you pick, you see tanking. And that's just how it's always going to be. I don't think it matters what the NBA does, unless they want to start finding the crap out of everybody. The NFL, they don't really care about it. They just have an incredible way of not caring anymore about it. So anyway, let's get back to the Indianapolis Colts. Their season really isn't that far away. I mean, training camp is what, like a month away, right? Like when is training camp? I don't really remember for the Colts. No, rookie mini camp coming up here in a couple weeks. And then mandatory minicamp starts in June. So again, it is not that far away. And, you know, there's obviously a lot of attention on guys like CJ Allen, a guy who's going to step in and start right away for the Colts at linebacker. Hopefully he's going to be a guy who really elevates the franchise. Obviously there's a lot of attention on AJ Halsey for the same reason. 3rd round pick, going to come in, start immediately at safety, filling in for Nick Cross, who went to the Commanders, if I remember correctly. And rookies are obviously really important. You know, like when you can land a guy who can come in and contribute for you immediately, it's a really nice thing. But it's very rare in the NFL for teams to win because their rookies are just immediately amazing. Now, they're going to have an impact. Like if you look at the Seattle Seahawks last year, Nick Eamon-Worry, their starting safety, had a huge impact for them. But the real reason why the Seahawks won the Super Bowl is because of all the offensive linemen that they had previously drafted, and Sam Darnold, who's been in the league for like a decade now, and because of the Walker, the running back, who they had drafted like 4 years ago. Like teams that are good are not overly reliant on rookies. They're reliant on players that have experience doing their work in the offseason and coming back better players. And so, as important as CJ Allen is going to be, as important as, AJ Halsey is going to be, Leatu Latu is going to be significantly more important than both of those guys. Not just because he plays a more important position at edge, but because he's going into year 3. And this should be the point where he kind of becomes a really important part of this Colts team. Last year, he was just a guy. He was a Jag. This year, he needs to become the guy. He needs to be a double-digit sack guy this year. And on Mondays, I need to get on, X or TikTok or whatever other social media thing, and I need to see these content creators saying things like Leatu Latu is a problem, followed by a montage of him having like 3 sacks against the Houston Texans or something like that, right? Like, he clearly has the ability. He had 8.5 sacks last year. That's a very average number. But when you're the first defensive player taken in the draft, average doesn't always cut it, especially when you have a general manager who was giggling on national TV when it happened. We got the best pass rusher in the draft, as he says as he's laughing ridiculously. And the thing with Latu that gives me hope for him to become a better player is the reason why he's not a double-digit sack guy is his inability to win with power. Just get in the gym, man. You've got all off season. I get it. Like, you're going to work on your pass rush moves. You're going to do all these things. But ultimately, the reason why he's not an elite pass rusher is because he just lacks strength. I mean, like, even when you look at him, maybe it's because he wears that baggy long sleeve shirt. Terrible look, by the way. Maybe it's because of that. But he looks small whenever he's out there on the field. Like, he's lining up against these 300-pound offensive tackles, and he looks like an outside linebacker. And that's not what he is. He is an edge rusher. So I hope that he got in the weight room this offseason. I hope that he comes back looking like Myles Garrett. I hope his muscles have muscles the same way that Myles Garrett does and the same way that Aaron Donald did. I think another thing to kind of watch out for in terms of guys rushing off the edge for the Colts, DeForest Buckner's getting older, and it is not uncommon to see older defensive tackles slide out to edge on occasion. Just not as physical out there. You're not dealing with as many double teams. So I do think that is something to keep in mind as well when we think about the Colts and what this edge room is ultimately going to look like. Because if DeForest Buckner is sliding out there, then the pass rush off the edge for the Colts is going to be better because, DeForest Buckner is a good player. John Buzzard chiming in saying, I don't think the Colts defense has anything close to a difference maker. Yeah, I would argue that. No, you can't argue that because Sauce Gardner has pan hands. Can't catch anything. I would argue that Cam Bynum is at safety. I think he's a really good one. Had 4 interceptions last year. Had a big one late against Denver to help seal that game when the Colts couldn't stop a nosebleed. But outside of that, I mean, and that honestly feels like a bit of a stretch. You're right. Like, the Colts don't really have any big-time playmakers, and I think that is part of why they went and they got A.J. Halsey where they did. Just a fast safety who can play in a lot of different places. I think he's hopefully going to be that guy who has, 5 interceptions. But I also think that is, looking at turnovers, I think that is a really tough thing. If you're judging playmakers and difference makers by the number of turnovers that they force, I think that is an unfair metric because turnovers are a luck stat. We see it time and time again, the way that it fluctuates. If teams could consistently force turnovers, then we would see the same teams at the top of the turnovers forced stat every year, and we don't. It fluctuates year in and year out. Like the Jets were at the bottom this year. They were 32nd. I promise you, they're going to finish top 16 because it's a luck thing. The issue that the Colts have on defense is the lack of a dominant pass rusher, because I do think that is the easiest position to consistently see a guy show up. Like, it's really easy, like, to see where Myles Garrett has impact. it's every third down, right? It's really easy to see where Aaron Donald has impact. It was every third down that he was on the field. Whereas with corners, you don't see it because if a corner is doing their job, they're not throwing the football their way. Okay. Someone asked, do you think on paper the Colts have a better defense than the Browns currently? Absolutely not. The Browns defense, look, the Browns were bad last year because Shadur Sanders is terrible. Their defense was really good. That was the story of the Browns last year. Amazing defense. Myles Garrett sets the sack record. And outside of that, I mean, even though I really liked the Micah Graham draft pick at defensive tackle, the guy that they got out of Michigan, really good player. The Browns are fine on defense. Their issue is quarterback. And is Deshaun Watson going to fix all their issues? Absolutely not. On paper, though, no, the Colts do not have a better defense than the Browns. John Buzzer chiming in again saying Cam Bynum it just lessens the impact when he's at safety. When Ballard values the positions with least importance, he hits homers in meaningless ways. Yeah, having a great safety is like hitting a home run in the bottom of the ninth when you're down by 7. It's like, hey man, that's nice, but it doesn't really mean much. So that is the issue for the Colts when you do look at their defense. The defense that I think is going to be pretty solid this year. I think that they flirt with being a top 10 defense, so above average. And the only way for them to go from above average defense to elite defense is for one of these edge guys to develop. And I think that's the hope for Leatu Latu. Jalen Tuimoloau was a non-factor last year. They drafted him in the second round, and he has to provide some sort of support. He was a healthy scratch multiple times last year. He had no sacks, didn't do anything for the Colts. Absolutely nothing. No sacks, only appeared in like 13 games, only had 17 tackles in those games. When he was on the field, you never really noticed him. So he's another guy as well who has to find a way to just be productive. Like, even if he's just an edge guy who can come in and stop the run, like, hey, I'll take that. If he can be a guy who logs like 7 or 8 sacks, I think that we'd have to be pretty elated about that as well. I am assuming that Arden Key, a guy who had like 5 sacks last year, is going to start at edge opposite of Latu. I think that that's why they went out and they decided to get him. But this is a guy, he had 4 sacks last year. He's never logged more than 6.5 in a single season. So the lack of playmakers for the Colts, I don't think it's a lack of playmakers. I just think that when your playmakers play corner, you don't see them very often. They're off the screen. And again, if they're doing their job, like you're just not throwing the football their way. Like when Darrelle Revis played for the Jets, you didn't notice Darrelle Revis. He just took whoever he was covering away, and it didn't really matter. And so hopefully that's what Sauce Gardner and Trevarius Ward can do this year. Hopefully it frees up or it gives those pass rushers a little bit more time to get to the quarterback. But it'd be even nicer if Jalen Tuimoloau or Leatu Latu just got better. And again, to Leatu Latu's credit, he went from 4 sacks as a rookie to 8.5 last year. I think he's a guy who works on his game. I think he's going to find a way to come back a little bit better this year, but it's a little bit better enough to a point where when we watch him on Sundays, we consistently notice him showing up like you do a Max Crosby or a Myles Garrett or anybody else like that in this league. I've got a few other guys who need to get their butts in gear and improve if the Colts are going to hopefully get back into the playoffs this year. I'll tell you who those players are when we come back in 3 minutes. Life can feel overwhelming, and sometimes all your body needs is a quiet moment in a cozy, calming place. Salty Woods in Greenwood offers salt therapy, also known as halo therapy, a natural, drug-free wellness practice that mimics the microclimate of salt caves. We've got a special deal for you only while they last. Starting tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., go to indiesportsticket.com and click on the Sweet Deals tab to get 2 seats in the Salt Room for half off. That is a $70 value, yours for just $35.
may, one day, be a must-listen for sports enthusiasts.
Yeah, and monkeys might fly out of my butt.
Uh-oh.
The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket. Thank you for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, X, the Indy Sports Ticket app, 1430 AM. If you're driving around the Indianapolis area, it is greatly appreciated when you tune in. So, there are certain things that I just don't care about, and I see people talking about. I will get to that here in a couple of minutes. I want to finish up talking about some of these Colts players that we need to see improve or take leaps and those kinds of things. DJ Giddens, I think, is the most important Colt that no one is really talking about as we get ready for, training camp starting up here in a couple of months. DJ Giddens was a 4th-round pick last year out of Kansas State. I don't think he was supposed to be like the heir apparent to Jonathan Taylor, but I think he was supposed to be the guy who could spell Jonathan Taylor for a series. That way they're not having to hand him the football 500 times in a single season like they had to do last year. And he just didn't deliver on that at all. He only appeared in 9 games, didn't rush for 100 yards on the year. And look, I'm not asking him to come back and, be like a starting caliber running back, but could you be like a backup caliber back who's good for like 7 carries a game, just so we can have Jonathan Taylor fresh whenever the postseason comes around, if the postseason comes around. So I like to see some improvement from him. Tyler Warren as well. And for him, it's like he was awesome last year, right? 76 receptions, over 800 receiving yards, only 4 touchdowns though. And look, if he doesn't get any better, then he's going to play in the league for a long time. But I'd like to see him get better. I'd like to see him become a little bit more of a red zone threat. I think part of why the Colts were willing to let Michael Pittman Jr. walk is because they have Tyler Warren. I mean, Tyler Warren and Alec Pierce. Those are, I think, the 2 names you're going to hear the most this year in the passing game. Obviously, you'll hear Josh Downs as well. He's a really important part of it. But it's going to be a lot of Tyler Warren over the middle of the field, and it's going to be a lot of Alec Pierce. And I would like to see Tyler Warren turn into a more reliable red zone threat. I mean, when you go back and you watch his tape at Penn State, I mean, his ability to just go up and take and take the football away from people is just unique. It was part of what made him special coming out of Penn State. Good blocker in those things, but let's be honest, we all wanted him because of what he can do in the passing game. And I thought we really only got a little bit of a glimpse into what he can be. I felt like a lot of his receptions were beneath the sticks, like, 5 to 8 yards down the field. They hit him on a couple tight end screens. And look, he's good after the catch in those things. But one of the nice things about having a tight end like Tyler Warren, who's, 6'6", 250 pounds, is their ability to just kind of box out smaller DBs and make plays. I didn't think we really saw much of that last year. So I'd like to see a little bit more of that from him this year. Finally, Jalen Travis. This is a guy that we didn't see a ton last year. He's going to be the starting right tackle with the departure of Braden Smith. Jalen Travis was a 4th-round pick last year. Look, Braden Smith was here for 8 years. Really solid when he was healthy. He got banged up quite a bit. So Jalen Travis is going to have big shoes to fill, but this is where, our trust falls onto Tony Soprano Jr., who does a great job coaching up the offensive linemen. I mean, look, you have to have a good offensive line coach. If you've got, 4 of your 5 starting offensive linemen were picked in the 3rd round or later, like your offensive line coach has to be a stud. And the Colts have a stud offensive line coach, and hopefully Jalen Travis turns into an offensive tackle who can really, really play going forward. 317-228-1430. That is the number. If you have thoughts on the Colts, the Pacers, Colts players that you want to see take a leap, so on and so forth, you can call that number, 317-228-1430. You can text in as well to that number. So I keep seeing this stuff, and I don't know. I think it's dumb. I don't think people should really care about it. Chris, do you care who the Pacers send to represent the Pacers at the lottery?
Not really. Do you?
I don't either. I couldn't care. Jack, do you care? No. Okay. Every time I get on Twitter, there's a guy that I know. I feel like he's like leading this charge. And every time I see it, I'm like, my guy, why do you care? Like, if they send Reggie Miller, that'd be cool. If they send Tyrese Halliburton, great. If they send Chris, that would honestly be really cool.
I'm a great selection.
If they sent
So are you.
if they sent you, that'd be amazing. I should text Kevin. But hey, Kevin, you should send me to represent the Pacers
Just for the lottery thing, and not the draft.
Yeah. Every team has a representative at the lottery, and so whenever you watch it on TV, they're like sitting behind these huge panels that look way
Right.
too big.
Yeah.
And it's got like their team logo in front. So a few years ago, Tyrese Halliburton went for the Pacers. Yeah, when they took Mathurin, it was that year. And so, yeah, he's behind this like
It's like a game show thing, right?
Yeah, and that's what it looks like. It looks like a game show set, and it's really weird because they know the results before they put it on TV, and so the reactions are a little not fake, but
Not genuine.
yeah. And so it's funny. I don't care about it at all. Like they could send Larry Bird. They could sell it. You know what they should do? They should have a crackhead race. And the winner gets to represent the Pacers at the lottery in Chicago.
That would be awesome. I would watch that in a heartbeat.
It is the lottery or the race?
Both. Well,
The answer is absolutely both. You've got you got this guy like twitching, and then like the camera slowly pans and to his left is like, I don't know, Tim Legler representing the Wizards. I think that'd be hilarious. But I got to be honest, as a nerd, attending the NBA draft lottery is an absolute dream of mine. Because what they do is you show up. Have you ever seen Dave Chappelle do a comedy show?
Yeah.
Same thing. You walk in and they take your phone away.
Right.
Because they draw the lottery before they put it on TV, and they don't want people spoiling the lottery. So it's just like it's these media people and all of these like powerful basketball people. Like every general manager is there, scouts are there, coaches are there, and there's nothing you can do but talk to them. There's nothing else going on. And so, it would be an interesting place for me to ask really dumb questions. Coach Carlisle would be like, "Kid, go away. I don't want to talk to you anymore."
You know who would be perfect for announcing the lottery thing would be Eddie White.
Eddie White would be a good pick.
That'd probably be my choice.
He would do a great job. Seriously.
Yeah.
That is a great call. Because he would have the perfect reaction. You just know he would.
Absolutely.
If the Pacers landed a high pick.
And he could do a little Trump impression too.
I don't know if the NBA would like that.
That's okay.
I don't know how the NBA would feel about that. Like, you know what? You guys no longer get, the third pick. You guys now have the sixth pick, which means it's not your pick. It's the Clippers.
Not how it works, Jonathan. But that would be funny. Yeah, but either Eddie White or Mark Boyle would be cool to see go up and do that.
Mark Boyle, I don't think Mark Boyle would want to do it.
Probably not, but it'd still be entertaining to see him do it.
Mark would be like, he'd show up in like a robe, just like, "Thanks, guys. See you later." And then they don't. He's like, "You guys sent me all the way out here for this?"
Yeah.
All the way out here, my guy. It's Chicago. It's 3 hours away. Like, let's not act like we're sending you to LA or anything. But yeah, I don't care. I kind of like it. I say I don't care, but now I'm going to give an opinion on it. I kind of like it when it's current players, just because I think that their reactions are a little more genuine. Of like, "Oh, sweet, like we're gonna get a really nice player." What's really funny is when it's a guy who knows that they're about to draft his replacement. They send Jarris Walker to do it, and then the Pacers land the number 1 overall pick, and he's just like, gosh dang it, they're gonna draft AJ DeBonsa, and they're probably gonna trade me, and all that kind of stuff.
That's pretty dirty. That's like salt in the wound.
That is salt in the wound. That's exactly what it is. So I hope that doesn't happen, because I'll have not 1,000. I'll have people on the internet being like, Jonathan, I thought you said that Jarris Walker's good. He is good. Love Jarris Walker. 6'8", can shoot it. Really good passer, just has too many mental lapses. But anyway, if you have thoughts on who the Pacers should send to represent them at the NBA draft lottery, again, that number is 317-228-1430. You can text that number as well if you have thoughts, or you can hop in the YouTube chat or the X chat, which is really weird. Like, the people who watch the stream usually watch on X, and yet there's never any comments from them, which is fine. I don't mind, but just an observation, All right, so the Indianapolis Colts season it's going to be here before we know it. Starting to look ahead, I think it's going to be tough for the Colts to get back into the playoffs this year. I just don't know if Daniel Jones is really going to be that guy or not. I know everyone's hopeful after watching him play 7 good games last year, and then the gradual decline that followed. Now he's coming off of the Achilles surgery, and so I just think that there are a lot of things that have to go right in order for the Colts to make the playoffs. C.J. Allen has to be a hit immediately. A.J. Halsey has to be a hit immediately. Jalen Travis has to develop into a starting right tackle. Leatu Latu has to become a better player off the edge. But it's not even just that. I think whenever we evaluate NFL teams going into the year, we get very caught up on who the starters are, forgetting that this is football and that by week 4, everybody in the league is hurt. And so now you're relying on your backups. And this is where I think that we're going to see the Colts fall short this year. They don't have enough depth. Anthony Richardson is currently slated as the backup quarterback. He's still here, by the way. I know we're all kind of still waiting on him to be traded, which, could happen. We'll see if and when it does. When you look at, receiver, again, Nick Westbrook-Akine is set to be starting. Behind him, you don't even want to know who's behind him. Eli Pankel, you don't even know who that is. Coleman Owen, small little 5'8" receiver that was an undrafted free agent last year. When you look at the depth on defense, like Michael Clemens, I'm good. Hope he doesn't play at all this year. Jalen Carlisle was brutal when he played last year. Okay, he was supposed to be, the linebacker who replaced E.J. Speed, and instead of him, the Colts signed so many free agent linebackers during the season to keep that guy off the field. And again, as the season progresses and as these guys get banged up and hurt, that is where I think we're going to really kind of see the Colts meet their match. Like that's the thing about the Chiefs. Like the Chiefs have a ton of depth behind their best players. The Eagles have a ton of depth, especially along the trenches. The Rams, the 49ers have an insane amount of depth. For them to win as many games as they did last year with all of the injuries that they had, it speaks to the amount of depth that they have. The Seahawks have a ton of depth, and so on. So health is going to be a major point of concern for the Colts this year. And in certain areas, like, it's a little concerning. Like, Quentin Nelson's probably going to get hurt this year because he's been around for a long time. I would bet on C.J. Allen to stay healthy most of the year because he's 22 years old, right? So the age and those things matter. I do feel like the Colts got younger on defense through the draft, which was nice. But the guys behind their older starters are going to have to play well. DeForest Buckner's been around a long time. Seems like he gets hurt every year now. I like Adebawore on pass rushing downs, but do I want that guy out there consistently? Not really. Grover Stewart has been around for a while now. Thankfully, they've got Colby Wooden behind him, but the lack of depth is going to be a real issue, which means these, day 3 picks for the Colts this year are going to be really important. There are 3 guys in particular that I think that we'll see within the first month of the season. I will tell you who they are and what they're going to do for the Colts in 4 minutes.
Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Hour number 3 of the Real Jonathan Smith Show getting underway. 317-228-1430 is the number if you want to call in. If there's anything that you want to talk about. Colts, Pacers, Caitlin Clark apparently being the 10th best player in the WNBA. Freaking insane. Absolutely absurd. ESPN with another garbage article. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. No matter how you're tuning in, YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket. If you want to head over there and subscribe, you can watch the show on X __ Jonathan Smith to follow me there and watch the show there. You can also listen on that Indy Sports Ticket app or 1430 a.m. if you're driving around the Indianapolis area. Before we get to the day three Colts players that I do think that we're going to see this year, this is just like, I fell for it. There's two things on the internet now that you can fall for. One are these parody accounts that say crazy things like the Ohio State football team is going to turn their turf scarlet red.
That one got me earlier.
I know it did.
Yeah, it did. Sucker written on my forehead.
Hey, man, it happens. The problematic one is NBA Centel because it occasionally is right. So there's that. And then the other thing's clickbait, which I'm at a point where I can usually identify it. But here's my problem with clickbait. Okay. My grandmother-in-law, she loves a lot of things in this world. She's awesome. Love her. Grammy, if you're listening, you might be. Shout out to you. Okay.
Hi, Jonathan's Grammy.
Yeah. So I feel like she loves her family the most, but in the top 5 is Caitlin Clark. And I just I know I'm going to see them. She's going to be like, Jonathan, did you see this article saying that Caitlin Clark's the 10th best player in the WNBA? But yes, I saw it. I didn't like it either. I think it's insane. I mean, Caitlin Clark showed up here in Indy, and she was an MVP candidate. She finished 4th in MVP voting as a rookie. Last year, she gets hurt. She gets hurt. Maybe they dinked her. Jack made that point during the break. Maybe they dinked her because of that, right? I mean, she only set the single season league record for assists as a rookie. I mean, she only made the second most 3-point field goals in a season as a rookie. She's an incredible passer. She's an incredible shooter. Okay, she's the most polarizing figure in the WNBA. Easily won Rookie of the Year. She's so good that the team that drafted her hasn't traded her already the way that the Chicago Sky did Angel Reese. She was first team all WNBA as a rookie. I mean, come on. This is insane. She played 13 games last year and was still an all-star. 10th? Whatever. We need a clip of Dan saying my ass. If we've got one.
We don't have that, but you know what we do have?
Booty cheeks!
We do. We do have that. All right. Let's get back to the Indianapolis Colts. I don't want to spend too much time on ESPN's insanity. All right. So the Colts had a lot of day 3 picks this year. I think that 3 guys in particular are going to be impactful for them this season. Okay. I think there's a decent chance that we're going to see a lot of these guys early on. I'm sure we'll see some of them on special teams right off the rip. But ultimately, due to injuries, due to the lack of depth that the Colts have this year, we're going to see some of these day 3 kind of more developmental picks play early on. They could potentially have big roles on the team this year. The first one is 4th round pick Bryce. Is it Becker or Betcher? Betcher. Bryce Betcher. Here are some of the comments from the Colts during the draft process around Bryce Betcher.
Anticipation and awareness, I think, are some of his greatest traits. Good in the run game, good in fits. I think in coverage, I think you really like some of that stuff. I really like him.
You like the way he's wired. You walk away from baseball and play football. There's a lot to like with the guy.
some of the Colts staff right there talking about fourth-round pick Bryce Betcher out of Oregon. I like his football makeup. I think it is important to draft guys who want to play football. If you love a grit story, Bryce Betcher's the guy for you. Okay, not just a football player. This is a guy who played baseball at Oregon, was a 13th round pick last year by the Houston Astros as a junior. And I say that, and you think, Jonathan, like what does that matter? The difference in pay when you are a junior that gets drafted in the Major League Baseball draft, or when you are a senior in the Major League Baseball draft, is huge. Because when you're a junior, they offer you more money. Because when you're a junior, you have the option to go back to school or not. And they obviously don't want you to do that. They took you in the 13th round. Whereas if you're a senior who gets drafted into the Major League Baseball draft, it's like, hey, man, you can either come here or you can go play in a league that no one really cares about. Right? Like, they have all the leverage when you're drafted when you're a senior. So the fact that Bryce Betcher walked away from a potential contract with the Houston Astros after finishing his junior season speaks to how much this guy loves football, right? And it, worked out well for him. Goes on to win the Burlsworth Award, ends up, logging 132 tackles on the year, led the Big Ten in that regard, right? He is the definition of football character. This guy eats, breathes, and sleeps football. And if you're going to draft a guy on day 3, you either want an incredibly toolsy guy, a Deion Burks, who we're going to get into here in a minute, or you want a guy like this, who is just going to play with a relentlessness to a point where he can't really be denied. He was also the green dot guy for Dan Lanning, meaning he was in charge. Whenever the defense would huddle, he had the microphone and stuff in his helmet so he could hear the coaches, and he would call the play. And this is a big deal to me. Because if you're calling the plays, that means you know everyone's assignment. Why does that matter? Because if you know everyone's assignment, then that points to football intelligence. Why does that matter? Because I want a smart football team. I think one of the most underrated aspects of those, Bill Belichick coached New England Patriot teams, they were always brilliant. They were always so much smarter than everybody else. Like with the exception of Rob Gronkowski, even though Julian Edelman swears that Rob Gronkowski is a football genius, okay? And the only way to have a smart football team is to draft smart football players. And Bryce Betcher is that. The fact that he's calling plays and handing out the assignments, it also means that he's a good communicator. That is a valuable thing to have in the middle of your defense and in your locker room. Now, there is a reason why he was a 4th-round pick. You can see the walk-on in his game. This dude plays with a ton of effort. He does a good job pursuing the football, but he's a little undersized. Only 6'1", 233 pounds, so a little bit lighter. With that being said, it didn't really matter. He was a really good tackler at Oregon. Again, led the Big Ten in tackles last year. And he makes up for the lack of size with quickness. With that being said, offensive linemen can swallow him up due to that lack of size. So when the Colts play with 3 linebackers, which won't be very often, they play a lot of nickel. But when they play with 3 linebackers, I do think that there's a chance that we see Bryce Betcher as the 3rd linebacker. But we're mainly going to see him on special teams to start the year. He covered punts and kicks his entire time at Oregon. So he's going to slide in there well to start his career. But this is a guy who, maybe in 2 years is a starting linebacker alongside of C.J. Allen. Just because of the way that he plays, I like to think of Bryce Betcher as like a human pinball. Not the biggest object on the table, but he is high velocity, constantly bouncing from sideline to sideline. Dude hits everything in sight. Even when he gets knocked around a little bit, he's recalculating, working to get back into the play. He's that annoying high-energy player that opponents hate, but coaches absolutely love because of the energy that they play with and the relentless intensity that follows suit. Another 4th-round pick for the Colts was Jalen Farmer, offensive guard, that the Colts took in the 4th round over Elijah Surratt. And because they took him over Elijah Surratt, people complained quite a bit. Like, I don't really, me personally, I'm not really a Elijah Surratt guy. I'm glad that they took him. Okay. Offensive linemen always get hurt throughout the course of the year. He's likely going to be a depth piece, but we're going to see him at some point during the season. Here is the Colts staff talking about new offensive guard Jalen Farmer.
This dude's the most powerful guy in the draft. You can watch this guy take SEC defensive tackles off the ball 4 or 5 yards by himself, which is really unique.
Tape's pretty damn good. I think he'd be a starting guard in this league.
His ability to anchor, he's got quickness to mirror, the power he has in the run game. I think this is a unique dude. He's got a lot of juice to his personality. He's smart.
Tape looks really good, all that kind of stuff, right? Everything that you want to hear about a guy, right? Powerful, got a lot of juice to his game, all that kind of stuff. He is a Chris Ballard day 3 offensive lineman. Chris Ballard likes big, fast, and apparently he likes them out of the SEC now when it comes to his day 3 offensive lineman. Jalen Farmer is 6'5", 312 pounds, and he just clocked the 4th fastest 40-yard dash for a guard since the turn of the century. He ran a 4.93 40. Dude's just insane. Like, he's an absolute unit in the trenches, just moving bodies. He's a huge athlete, right? He can move. He's got long arms to get a hold of those defensive linemen before they get a hold of him. He's just a big physical freak who needs some refining in terms of his technique. That is where Tony Sperano Jr. comes into play, one of the best offensive line coaches in the NFL. If he can coach him up, then the Colts might have another monster on their hands. Maybe he slides into left guard at some point whenever Quentin Nelson gets tired of losing games here in Indianapolis. Jalen Farmer is a sledgehammer on wheels. He is going to crush people if he can master the tech needed at the NFL level. So, big fan of that pick. Hopefully, it pans out. Deion Burks is the last day 3 guy. I've talked about him probably more than any other day 3 guy since the draft. He's just a freak athlete. 4.3 speed, insanely strong, incredibly quick. He's just so athletic that he's going to have a chance to succeed in the NFL. I am surprised that the Colts were able to get him so late in the draft. When you look at, different big boards and things, everyone had him significantly higher than that. Obviously, NFL teams didn't, and so that's why he fell that far. But think of Deion Burks as like a high-performance bottle rocket. Small, lightweight, looks a little unassuming standing over there on the sideline, but when the football is snapped, there's no like gradual acceleration. It is instant. He is 0 to 100 real quick. It is a violent launch. He is shooting straight into the secondary. And if the coverage isn't perfectly aligned, he's going to explode over the top of the defense for a 60-yard touchdown. He is a one-play, game-changing kind of player. I would love it if the Colts had him return kicks this year. I would love it if, whenever the Colts go for 4 wide receivers, if they found a way to, incorporate him in that a little bit, get him in the slot. The concern is obviously his size. I don't think he's going to be able to play out wide because of that. Even though when you look at his time at Oklahoma, there's multiple occasions where he's playing on the outside. NFL corners are just bigger, stronger. When they get their hands on you, it becomes problematic. So those are the 3 guys that the Colts took on day 3 this year that I think have a chance of having a decent impact early on here in the season for the Indianapolis Colts. IU fan on YouTube threw out 5 wins for the Colts this year. I think that's a little insane. I think that, at a minimum, they'll hover around that 8-9, 9-8 mark like they always do. But so we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the Diana Rossini playlist as well when we come back in 4 minutes.
The best takes. Maybe. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back to the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket. Thank you for tuning in. No matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, the YouTube, X, the Indy Sports Ticket app, 1430 AM. No matter how you're tuning in, it is greatly, greatly appreciated. All right, we had someone in our YouTube chat, IU fan, threw out 5 wins for the Colts this year. Look, it's hard to predict, right? Because we haven't seen their schedule yet. On paper, because, that's where the games are played. On paper, I think it's really easy to get to 5 wins. I also think it's really easy to get to 10 wins. And that has kind of been, that's just kind of what this roster's been. Look, if they stay healthy, they're going to have a good team. The issue is they don't normally stay healthy. That's been a bit of a problem for them. They have, a decent number of weapons on offense. Alec Pierce, Josh Downs, Tyler Warren, right? Like those are 3 reliable receiving threats. And hopefully we see Tyler Warren take another step forward and become a really, truly dominant receiving tight end. When you look at the offensive line, you have to feel good about Bernard Ryman. You have to feel good about Quentin Nelson. You have to feel good about Tanner Bortolini. And you have to feel good about Matt Gonsalves based off of what we saw from them last year. The question is going to be at right tackle. How does Jalen Travis look? I don't think that they would have willingly moved on from Braden Smith if they didn't have full confidence in Jalen Travis to get it done. It's just the reality of it. So offensively, they're going to be okay. The question is really just Daniel Jones. How does he look coming off of that Achilles tear? Again, going back to the Colts last year. I mean, look, like they looked really good, right? To be fair, I felt like they got worse as the season continued, as they played against some of the better teams. But if they come into a schedule where they're, if they're given an easy schedule, then this is going to be a team more than good enough to win games. So the schedule is going to dictate a lot here. I think defensively, I think you have to like a lot of it. Javarius Ward played really well for the Colts last year. Cam Bynum played really well for the Colts last year. Sauce Gardner, when he came over, was a good player for the Colts. Justin Wally's probably going to take that Kenny Moore slot before Justin Wally tore his ACL. He was going to be the starting corner opposite of Javarius Ward, which is a big deal. They obviously draft C.J. Allen, who is I'm telling you right now, he is an upgrade over Zaire Franklin. Zaire Franklin, it was like the most overrated player in football the last 5 years. He wasn't good. Anyway, they go out and they sign Akeem Davis-Gaither, who will play opposite of C.J. Allen, right? The real question is just going to be, do these edge rushers improve? Okay? I mean, that's really the question. And, if I'm the Colts, I don't know. I hope the Colts suck this year. That's not true. I want them to win because the show will be better if they win. But the Colts just need to avoid another 9-8 or 8-9 season. Actually, no, never mind. They don't have a first-round pick. I keep forgetting that. We're going to come back, and we're going to hate that trade so much, and people are going to crucify Ballard over it because there are so many good quarterbacks in this draft class. I mean, it's a long list between Josh Hoover and everybody loves Arch Manning, and then you got Dante Moore at Oregon, and I'm sure Penn State will have a guy that everybody likes, and Brendan Sorley, if he can stay out of trouble. Like he was another guy that people were looking at to be a quarterback. You've got the kid at Oklahoma State who played at North Texas last year, like Mestmaker, something like that. There are going to be a lot of good options to draft a quarterback this year, and the Colts aren't going to have a first-round pick to do it. So thank you so much, Chris Ballard. So here's what I want to go to. Chris, you're a big music guy. Did you ever like make a playlist or like a tape or something for someone special?
Dude, I am the king of mixtapes.
Are you really?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I speak a lot easier through music.
Okay. Have you seen the playlist titled "Turning the Page"?
I've heard about it. I thought it was fake, so I didn't really
No,
look into
it's
it.
real. It's a real thing. Diana Rossini made a playlist on Spotify called "Turning the Page" that she shared with the user named Mike on December 19th of 2022 during a 4-game losing streak that the Titans were on. If you could, it's 15 songs.
I'm looking it up right now. I got to know
Okay.
what songs are
If
on
you
here
can
now.
find it, I would just love your expert opinion on this. Here are some of the artists for you: Beyonce, Lotto, Sam Hunt, Route 94 and Jess Glynn, Black Eyed Peas, Pink. If you just search for it on X, it pops up really quickly. Just Diana Rossini playlist.
That's fabulous. That's good stuff. What are we judging here?
I just what do you think of it? It's Papa Roach on a turn the page kind of thing. I don't know, man.
So just based on the artist, it depends on what songs are chosen, but it sounds like there's some business happening. You know what I'm saying? Like you make that kind of music, you light some candles, you put this mixtape on, and somebody's about to get pregnant.
Okay. Hey, yo, that's kind of crazy. Okay. Jack, can you pull it up on X form? If you just search Diana Rossini playlist, I'd like for him to actually be able to sing the songs or sing the song. Yeah, Chris, if you want to sing the songs, that's totally fine. See the songs while we're getting that pulled up. Buzzard, what's going on, man? How are you?
Hey, I'm good. I've got a movie recommendation that is very fitting for your topic of the Spotify playlist.
Okay.
It is called High Fidelity, if you've ever seen it before.
Haven't seen it.
Okay.
So yesterday, this is actually kind of funny. I was talking to my boss yesterday, and we were going over. I went on like an older movie kick 6 months ago. Like went back and watched Heat, watched The Raging Bull, those kind of movies. So I'll throw this one on the list.
The whole, and I won't give it away, the whole storyline revolves around making the perfect mixtape.
Okay. Yeah, that is perfect for this.
And it's John Cusack. So he makes the top 5 breakup songs. And it's the very first like big movie for Jack Black.
Okay. Oh, I love Jack Black. Sign me up. That makes sense. If it's a music movie, you got to have Jack Black in it.
Oh yeah, it's good. It's really, really good for as far as like 90s and mixtapes and kind of explain the importance. So that is why I am moving Diana Rossini over Lorena Bobbitt as the worst spouse of all time.
You don't like the playlist gesture?
The mixtape did it for me. The mixtape, and Chris would probably back me up on this, was probably one of the most lame but most intimate thing that you can do for a significant other, especially with actual like cassette tapes in the late 80s, early 90s.
No way.
Terrible.
I would not say it's lame. Do not judge my game, Buzzard. This is how I work. To this day, I still make mixtapes, but
do you really?
In the form of a YouTube playlist. Yeah, I just made one last month. Yeah, for somebody.
All right. I've got a question for Chris.
Okay.
Have you ever made a mixtape for a female without an agenda of trying to get in her pants?
Absolutely. Because
what?
Okay.
No.
In the friend zone?
Yeah, don't judge me because, like I said, I am not great with words. But I can definitely find a song that will say what I want to say, and then that will go in there. It doesn't always have to end in the bedroom, Buzzard.
You're such a nice guy.
You're such a good dude, man.
This is what happens when you are raised with all females and have daughters. So, yes.
You really raised the level of this show. I appreciate you.
You do. You do. I mean, that's awesome. All right, Buzzard. Thanks for the call, man. See you. All right. So that's hilarious. I Screw it. I'll tell the story. So when Amelia and I were dating, we I would go in and there was this trend where people would make playlists on Spotify, but they would use titles to like spell out messages.
Sure.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Absolutely, like
And
a
so
ransom note or something.
I thought I still had like a ransom note or something. Yeah, let me out.
Blink twice if you need help.
Yeah. I thought I still had them. I guess I don't. But yeah, so I would go in and I would make these playlists and it'd be like I love you so much or whatever. And so where did that go? Oh man. Did I
And how was it received? Did the wife enjoy it? Like,
loved it.
good.
So sweet, so nice. Oh, here we go. Here's one. But so it's shared. And so I would make one and then she would delete all of the songs out of it and then she would make one. I don't know who made this one. But this one is You Are by Lionel Richie. So Incredible by Misha Florian. No idea who that is. You Make Me by Avicii. And then it's Fall in Love by Bailey Zimmerman. With You by Chris Brown. More and More every day.
Okay.
Because I'm, I can be cheesy sometimes.
You got to be. It's now
Women
about
like that stuff.
Absolutely. So looking at Rossini's playlist here, if this is what she picked out, I don't see anything like suspicious in this playlist. It just looks like a good vibe mixtape. There's nothing like really sticks out that has a hidden message. You know what I mean?
Yeah. This would make me mad though. Like if I lost every game I've played in for a month, don't send me this. Just leave me alone until I win a game.
It's inspiring. It doesn't say like, hey, after you lose the next game, you should come over to my house and pretend like my husband doesn't live here or anything like that. I don't get that vibe from this playlist. It just looks like good inspirational, like, hey man, don't give up kind of stuff.
Question. The person who found this, what do you think that they do for a living? And how old do you think they are? Let's be honest, this is a little weird. Like, you got to be a little weird to be willing to go out and find this playlist.
It could be some kind of spy. I mean, there's all, you know what I mean? Somebody who's digging and for information so they could sell it to somebody and make some money off of somebody else's misfortune.
I guess. I mean, how are you making money off of this, though?
You sell it to tabloids and stuff like that. Other people, TMZ, they want a story like this so they can blow it out of the water. And then, whoever's responsible for bringing it to them gets the payday, right?
I guess so. I don't know. Maybe I just don't get it. I would feel so weird. I mean, like, oh, here's this woman who ruined her life and cheated on her husband. Let me go see if she made any playlist and send them to Mike Vrabel. That's what she did.
The Lotto song, it's a little, that's the only suspicious. The Lotto, the Big Energy song.
Oh,
yeah.
That song sucks. I hate that song.
It's not.
It was everywhere for so long. That song sucks.
Making a playlist for somebody is like this generation's version of like writing a letter and mailing it or something. Like, here's a bunch of songs that make me think of you kind of deal.
Yeah, that is what it is. I'm more of a letter guy. Much better at that than making a playlist. That's insane. I don't even make playlists anymore. I'm a psychopath. I just put all my liked music into one big thing and shuffle it all. I'm just like, listen to anything this morning.
There's nothing wrong with that either. I'm a little bit more organized than that.
I'm a big let me shuffle everything, but then skip every song.
Like, nope, not that one.
Until I find one that I like. So yeah, that's what the radio's for, though, right? It's like,
sure.
I don't know what I really want to listen to today, so let's throw on some FMS or some ZPL or something,
Yeah. So, I mean, running my own station is all separated by vibes, right? My own personal one.
Yeah.
Like, I have it's not just love songs. It's like summer songs, spring songs, winter songs, workout songs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's all separated by vibes.
Aren't winter songs, like, isn't that just Christmas music?
No.
No? Okay. I figured out to ask. Okay. Question for you, Chris, and I'll give you the break to think it through. So, look, if I was Mike Vrabel and Rossini sent me this, I'd be like, don't do that. I find that a little annoying, you know? Only because I had just lost 4 games in a row to end my season. Has a girl ever done anything like that to you where you're like, I appreciate the gesture, but maybe don't do that? We'll have Chris maybe answer that question in 4 minutes.
If it's in today's sports world, it's here. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back to the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket. Thanks for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in. YouTube, X, the Indy Sports Ticket app, 1430 AM. It is greatly, greatly appreciated. And I posed a question to Chris, gave him the option to answer it or not when we came back. He is opted in. He is Jonathan on answering this question. So I asked him if there was anything that a woman had ever done for him that, like, they were trying to be nice, like Diana Rossini making Mike Vrabel a playlist. But, like, you didn't like it because, like, for me personally, if someone made me a playlist after I just lost 4 games, I'd be like, "Thanks, but no thanks. I'm good for right now."
Sure.
Anything like that?
I don't think it was because I had lost any 4 games or anything like that. I think it was just a really nice gesture, and on the surface, it's really sweet, but an ex-girlfriend had gone out and bought a dictionary and took the time to highlight all the words in the dictionary that reminded her of me. So, like, there was little markers, and
Yo.
she highlighted, like, sweet and considerate, and, like, it wasn't just, like, a couple pages, it was, like, a thorough
She, like,
investment of
read the whole
time.
dictionary.
Yeah, and picked out all the words, and I was like,
Was
"This
there
is
anything in
really
there that
weird."
was, like, kinda mean? It was, like, annoying. Highlight.
Oh, I'm sure there was. I don't remember what it is now, but, long story short, the relationship did not go through very well, and I ended up setting that thing on fire and videotaping it, and I sent it to her
Why'd you set it on fire?
because,
You could've just said thanks, but no thanks?
the relationship did not end well. I was like, "What do I do with this dictionary?" I guess I'll set it on fire. So
That's crazy.
so, yeah, there you go. There's my story.
That's
You're welcome.
nuts. That's awesome, though. You set it on fire. It's like when LeBron left Cleveland. They all lit his jersey on fire.
Right.
Same exact same thing, obviously.
But, yeah, it was a sweet gesture, but had it not ended the way it did, then maybe I would've kept it or something, but I don't know. There you go.
That's crazy. I don't have anything like that. I was ready to be like, yeah, this happened to me one time. But the truth is, women do not like me for some reason. I don't know what it is. That's a good thing, though. It's a good thing now because I'm married now. But even before I got married, women were just like, nah, I'm good.
You only need one woman to like you now for the rest of your life.
We
That's
took
it.
full advantage. We found one. We're like, all right,
Lock that one up.
you're not going anywhere. All right. So the Indiana Pacers have had they had a tough go of it this season. Tyrese Halliburton tears his Achilles last year in Game 7 of the NBA Finals. He misses the whole season. And the Pacers are now in position to land a top 4 pick in the upcoming NBA draft. We have the NBA draft lottery coming up here in about 10 days or so. May 10th is when it happens. And I was thinking about it because last year there was a lot of accusations about how the NBA lottery was rigged and all those things, right? So I decided to go through it this year and be like, if the NBA wanted to rig the lottery, who would they want to rig it for? Who would they want to give the number 1 overall pick? And those kinds of things. So let's run through that. So at the 4th pick, I think that they would want to give it to the Dallas Mavericks. They still feel bad about the Luka trade, and they want one of the largest markets in the NBA to both love and appreciate their local team. So they're going to give the Mavericks a nice little boost here so that they can land another stud to play alongside Cooper Flag. They'll let them get, a DJ Wagner or Caleb Wilson. DJ Wagner, sorry. Darius Acuff, that's the other Arkansas guard who transferred to Maryland. Darius Acuff or Keaton Wagler out of Illinois and so on to go alongside Cooper Flag to help appease those people in Dallas. Number 3, I think that they'll give it to the Charlotte Hornets because the Hornets are just good for the league with the exception of Miles Bridges. That guy sucks. They play a fun, entertaining style of basketball. LaMelo Ball is probably the most polarizing player in the league. People either love that guy or absolutely hate him. And if you tell me your age, I could probably guess which one, whether you love or hate him. So giving them the 3rd pick would probably propel them to a point where they could be a playoff team. That gets Con Knipple in there, a guy who I think a lot of NBA fans have really enjoyed watching play. There's just certain guys that, when they show up, if they can do multiple things like shoot off the ball or play off the ball and those kinds of things that, the real hoop heads really enjoy. So people I really liked watching the Hornets play this year. I think, giving them the third pick would be in the NBA's best interest. Number 2, the Atlanta Hawks. Hawks, they're a rising team in a big market. Atlanta enjoys their basketball. Putting Jalen Johnson with Darren Peterson or Cam Boozer would, I think, instantly set them up to be one of the better teams for years to come. And they want that due to their market size, right? Like Atlanta's, one of the 10 largest cities in the country. It's a city that really enjoys, it's a city that really enjoys basketball and those things. So I think that they would give them the second pick. And then number 1, no questions asked, would go to the Golden State Warriors because they want to extend Steph Curry's championship window. The Warriors this year weren't bad. The issue is Steph Curry got hurt because he's just carrying such a massive load. And no bell there? He's in charge of a lot of things there in Golden State when it comes to having that offense play well. And what better way to extend that Steph Curry championship window, because we know he's not going to leave Golden State. What better way to extend that championship window than by putting A.J. DeBonsa or Cam Boozer or Caleb Wilson or Darren Peterson beside him, another guy who can really score and kind of help relieve him of some of the responsibilities that he has right now for the offense of the Golden State Warriors. Now, you're probably wondering, Jonathan, why wouldn't the NBA want to rig it for the Pacers or the Jazz or the Kings or the Nets or the Wizards or any of these other teams? Doesn't Adam Silver and the NBA feel bad for what happened to Tyrese Halliburton in Game 7 of the NBA Finals? I'm sure they feel bad. Not their fault. I don't think that they feel a responsibility to make up for it. And ultimately, I think that the NBA ultimately really just wants to punish tanking teams. It's something that they don't like. So like they're not going to rig anything for the Pacers, Jazz, Kings, Nets, or Wizards because it appeared like they were tanking. Again, I don't think that the Pacers were. I think that the Pacers, had the opportunity to be a good team this year. Everybody just got hurt early, and when they came out of the break or the All-Star break, it was like, you know what? There's 20 games left. Let's just go ahead and tank this out the rest of the way. Whereas there are teams like the Jazz who tanked all year. So anyway, as I said, the NBA draft lottery, it's about 10 days away. The Pacers have the opportunity to land any pick from 1 through 7. So in the 7 shows that we have leading up to the NBA lottery, we are going to have a lottery of our own. We will pull a number between 1 and 7, and I have a take corresponding with that number that I will then give to you at that point. I'm going to spin my wheel now as Chris plays our intro. It's groovy. I like it. This is good.
Where do you find this music at? It's good stuff.
I make it myself.
Oh, do you?
I'm a very talented guy.
Yeah, you are.
So we pulled the number 7 today. So basically, each take corresponds with the number on how I feel about something on a scale of 1 through 7. So 7 is something that I absolutely love and that I think everybody else loves. All of these things are they are all sports related. Okay. So number 7, something that I like and I think that everybody loves, scrappy point guards. It's just nothing like an undersized guard that gets on the floor due to their effort. Every Pacer fan loves TJ McConnell. Every Raptor fan loves Jamal Shed. Everyone in the 90s loved, not everybody, but Isaiah Thomas was a beloved figure by some. Other people didn't like him. Matthew Dellavedova, tough player. Okay, you either loved that guy or you absolutely hated him. There was no in between because of how hard he played. I think John Stockton was the exact same way. And you need guys like that on your team to help set a competitive tone. And that is the best thing that a scrappy point guard brings to the table, right? It's not a jump shot. It's not the playmaking. When TJ McConnell steps on the floor for the Pacers, the sense of urgency goes up. That's the reality of it, because when he steps on the floor, like he's so competitive and he's playing so hard. He just requires everybody else on the floor with him to meet that standard. So, big fan of scrappy point guards, guys like TJ McConnell. Give me all of them. One of my favorite players ever is JJ Barea for that exact reason. 5'8", maybe. We'll see. 5'8", incredibly competitive. Great pick and roll ball handler for those who remember JJ Barea. So that is number 7, something that I really love. Tomorrow, we will obviously scrap that one, and we'll go with numbers 1 through 6 as we continue to work our way towards the NBA draft lottery. Oh, man. Sorry, we've just got so many options on things to talk about here. I want to keep rolling with the playoffs. I've restrained myself long enough, Chris. For the final 5 minutes, I want to talk about the NBA playoffs.
Do it, man.
Because they're just, I love them. We're gonna have how many series here? Every series left is going 6 at least. Okay, we're gonna have 6 series in the first round, go to 6 games or more. This is the first time that this has happened since 2014. Where we've had this many first-round series go to 6 games or more. I think the Lakers are in real trouble in terms of being the first team to blow a 3-0 lead in the history of the NBA. They're going back to Houston. The Rockets are 3.5-point favorites. They've got some momentum. That game's tomorrow night, by the way. Can't wait for that one, because you're going to see LeBron and Reeves and the rest of those guys go, full tilt boogie, trying to close it out before Game 7. And Houston's tough. They're scrappy. They've clearly figured some things out. Luke Kennard hasn't been as impactful as he was in those first 3 games in the last 2. So I don't think that it's a foregone conclusion that the Lakers get out of that series. Can't wait for it. Nuggets Timberwolves has been disappointing. The injuries in that one have kind of ruined it. With that being said, one hot night from Julius Randle or Jaden McDaniels, and that series is over. So I find that series to be really fascinating. That game is tonight at 9:30. I'll probably watch it more like 1 a.m., but that's okay. Pistons Magic has been the best series of the playoffs so far. John Buzzer tweeted at me earlier in the show asking if the Magic can finish the Pistons off. The answer is yes. Because I think that the Pistons are better than, I think the Magic are just better than the Pistons. The Magic dealt with injuries all year. Hopefully Franz Wagner is able to come back here at some point, and I think that the moment that he does, that series is going to be over. Paolo Banchero, there's a deeper, longer segment in here. But the art of the playoff riser is something that I'm just always going to be very intrigued by. I think Tyrese Halliburton falls into that category. I thought he really raised his level of play last year in the playoffs. And we're seeing Paolo Banchero do the same thing here. His stock could not have been lower after formerly having been the number 1 overall pick. And he's just like, that's fine. I'm just going to, beat the Hornets by 30 and then go upset the 1 seed as an 8 seed. That series has just been fantastic. The efforts in that series, the defensive intensity has just been on another level compared to every other series that we've seen. Cavaliers and Raptors, it's like watching teams sleepwalk. That's really what it is. Like the Cavaliers look lethargic. The Raptors are doing everything that they can to win that series, but you just know that Donovan Mitchell is going to close them out here at some point. So that series not as interesting. Knicks-Hawks was fun. But then the Knicks figured it out, and they're probably going to win tonight at 7, and that'll kind of be that series. So I expect for them to close it out tonight. They are 2.5-point favorites as they go on the road to Atlanta. So give me New York tonight. And then Boston and the 76ers. They play at 8 o'clock tonight. Boston leads that series 3-2. They won the last game in Philly, and betting on or against Boston just sucks because you know that they're going to take 53s, and there's going to be a night where they make 20 of them, and they're going to win by 30 on that night, and you just don't know what night that is. You also know that there are going to be nights where they make 10 of them, and you don't know what that night is either. So good luck betting Boston. I personally try hard not to do that. That's going to do it here on the Real Jonathan Smith Show today. We'll be back tomorrow, noon to 3. Zach Gray joins the show at 1. Zach Pierles joins the show at 12:20. Hoping to grab another guest for us tomorrow as well to continue talking Colts, Pacers, and everything else going on in the world of sports. I'll have a report from the Jay Morgan Show. Chris is going to now.
I'm going to now. But I'm going to the show before yours.
Yeah, that's the one thing about the show. It's on at 9:30.
I'll see you on my way out as you're on your way in.
Probably. And I'm, yeah, you may be doing the first hour tomorrow. I may just sleep through it.
We'll see.
You think I'm kidding?
All
right.
We'll have a good time tonight.
We will. It'll be good. We'll have an even better time tomorrow from noon to 3. Subscribe on YouTube. Follow me on X, and we will talk to you tomorrow starting at noon. See ya.